We have a major update. According to an NBA insider, he recently provided an update about Mitchell Robinson's rehab and return. And according to this insider, the Knicks are currently exploring lineups that are featuring Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. We're going to break down all of these latest reports today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you have notifications turned on. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. The Knicks provide a big update on Mitchell Robinson's return. The Knicks return from All-Star break tomorrow, and they'll be greeted with a back-to-back. They'll start it off against the Chicago Bulls, and then after that, they'll complete that back-to-back by facing off against the best team in the NBA right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game is going to be a major test for the Knicks, and they're going to need everybody available in order to beat Cleveland. But the question is, will they have everybody available? Shout out to Ian Bagley with SNY for giving us the following update. According to him, will Robinson and OG Anunoby be medically cleared for contact when the Knicks return to practice today? That's the next known hurdle for both players as they progress back to the court. I assume Mitchell Robinson will be brought along slowly in a reserve role, and the Knicks will want to take a long look at lineups featuring Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. And shout out to James L. Edwards of The Athletic for helping to confirm Ian Bagley's report about Mitchell Robinson, where he is in terms of his rehab and his return. According to James L. Edwards, New York may have reinforcements though, as Mitchell Robinson, who has been out since May undergoing ankle surgery, appears close to making his season debut. There has not been a definitive date set for the center's return, and when we last talked to head coach Tom Thibodeau before the break, again, Robinson had yet to participate in 5-on-5 activities. So while it does appear Robinson is nearing a return, there is still nothing set in stone. I'm also under the impression that Robinson will be under a minutes restriction when he gets back. I'm not reporting that, it's just a hunch. Assuming Robinson comes back, New York will need to integrate him in and experiment with combinations. I'm assuming we'll see significant amounts of Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns lineups. So this is another NBA insider confirming that the Knicks will be exploring lineups that feature Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. The team still needs to improve a good amount defensively, and when Robinson returns, he'll help put some emphasis down with the Knicks and how they play defense down the stretch of this final run. I am honestly not surprised that the Knicks are bringing him along slowly still. They have done that all season long. Why would they change course now? I know that the reports indicated from Shams of ESPN that the Knicks and Mitchell Robinson were targeting a return date before March 1st. And maybe that's still going to be the case. We have no idea when he's going to return. What we are waiting on, though, is clarity about him taking contact and going through 5-on-5 practice. That has not been stated yet. Yes, he has been cleared for full contact, but he has not been cleared for 5-on-5 drills yet and 5-on-5 scrimmages yet. We're still waiting for that. Once that happens, that's going to be the biggest update to date for Mitchell Robinson, because after that, it's only a matter of time before he returns for the Knicks and starts to become that defensive presence that we need inside, especially coming off the bench. And yes, he will be coming off the bench. He will not start, especially when you consider when he does return, he is going to be in a reserved role. No other role is going to exist for Mitchell Robinson on this team. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be your starting center. Josh Hart is going to continue to start. And I don't care what team the Knicks face in the postseason or during the regular season. They're not going to change the starting unit. But what they might do is they might change the closing lineup, or they might give more minutes to the bench in one game versus another game, depending on who they have in the game, who's going off and who they need. Maybe in one game, you're going to need more of your defensive anchor and Mitchell Robinson inside. And if that's the case, you need to play him more minutes. Maybe other nights you can get away with not having him and having Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns is more impactful. And maybe you go that route. But here's the thing. It's about the weapons and the lineups that you have. And the Knicks need to do everything in their power to make sure come the postseason, they understand their roster top to bottom. They know the rotations that they have access to and the weapons that they're going to be able to utilize. That's why it's no surprise to me that Ian Begley mentioned here that the Knicks are going to take a long look at lineups featuring Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. That is exactly what this Knicks team needs to do. One of our biggest weaknesses to date right now is our defensive presence inside. Sometimes it's consistent, but it's not all the time. Sometimes we communicate, but it's not all the time. And when we switch, oftentimes we overhelp, and that allows somebody else to be open, either a shooter or oftentimes somebody cutting to the rim, either a backdoor cut, and we're not seeing it happen until it's too late. We have to prevent this. The way you prevent this is by adding more defensive pressure inside, but being able to add it without taking away from your wings and what they're trying to do at the perimeter. The main way we can do that is by putting Mitchell Robinson inside. Him by himself is your main defensive anchor. He's going to soak up all of those hits, all of those players trying to penetrate inside. He's going to be able to take on those players and make sure he puts that fear inside them. That way, they're not penetrating and creating. They're penetrating, getting scared, and then passing the ball. And for a Knicks team that plays great defense, especially playing the passing lanes, doing that against the skill wings that we have is basically asking for a fast break opportunity. And that's what's going to happen. I can't wait to see that, but we're going to have to wait in order to see it. OG Anunoby, he will be ready. He will be active. And in my opinion, I don't think the Knicks should play him against Chicago. I think the Knicks have enough without OG Anunoby to beat the Bulls. Play OG and all the players that you have access to against the Cavaliers, because that game is the most important game that we're going to play in this back-to-back. And I would rather have a healthy OG Anunoby for that game versus a maybe healthy OG Anunoby if we bring him back from injury and have him play right away in a back-to-back. So that's something to consider if you're the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, I am hoping he comes back before March 1st, but even if he doesn't, everything sounds like he's close. Even though the Knicks are bringing him along slowly, it sounds like that's the Knicks' choice, not Mitchell Robinson. It's only a matter of time before the Blockness monster returns and makes his presence felt inside. And we've been missing that defensive presence all season long. Once we get it back, we'll start to see a more completed Knicks team. How offense, as good as Karl Anthony Towns makes it look, meets defense as good as Mitchell Robinson can make it look. I'm not saying it's going to look pretty all the time. I'm not saying it's going to work automatically. That's what the regular season is for, though. Working on things and getting your chemistry right. But can you imagine what those lineups, what those rotations are going to look like? The weapons we're going to have access to come the postseason, when everything starts working, when we gain more chemistry together as a team. Can you imagine the possibilities, what that is going to look like? What we've been asking for all season long, good offense and consistent defense. Once Robinson returns, I am guaranteeing that is what's going to happen, especially if the wings stay with their shooters in the perimeter and Mitchell Robinson holds down the fort inside. And you know what? That is exactly what's going to happen. Tom Thibodeau is going to make it happen that way. And I'm not saying it's close, because clearly the Knicks are working him back slowly. But they're working him back slowly so he doesn't get injured again. And I know all of us are hoping once he returns, he can stay healthy and active. Because if we get that type of Mitchell Robinson, this Knicks team going all the way to the NBA Finals, it doesn't sound as crazy anymore, does it? But what about you guys? What do you think about the Knicks bringing along Mitchell Robinson slowly and him being in a reserve role once he does return. And also the Knicks wanting to take a long look at lineups featuring Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.